Hey, what's up, guys? It's Renaldo here for the Truth Report, and I'm here with Rob Hersov. How you doing?
Renaldo, welcome to Cape Town.
I know, right?
Do you feel a bit out of depth being in this big city?
Not at all. I love Cape Town. I visit quite often, but I prefer Port Elizabeth.
Well,
you don't have to pay for parking.
You never called me when you were here last. This is the first time I get to know you're here.
You're always busy, so I don't want to bug you. Rob, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I know that some of it you might have answered before, and I want to try and get off of the main track of it. But the obvious first question that I've got is, what made you decide that one day that you want to speak your mind about what was happening in South Africa? When you did that, did you know the impact that that would have potentially on your investments and on your business?
I didn't know the impact. Absolutely not. And like most other people, I was kind of nervous about telling it like it is. I had been doing a lot of public speaking about other subjects, mainly business topics, and mainly for a number of years investing in Africa, because I had a business called Invest Africa, and we used to evangelize sensibly which countries, which sectors, which to avoid, which to invest in. And I'd been doing that for years. So I was kind of comfortable talking from an investment basis. But if you're talking about investing in Africa, you get pulled into the political situation in those countries.
Yeah.
And obviously, my home country being South Africa, I was living in London at the time, politics would always come up. People would be saying, would you invest in South Africa? And increasingly, the answer was no. Why not? And then you'd obviously have to talk politics. So when I came back to South Africa and I was doing business and investment speeches and presentations and Q&As, the political side kept coming up. And then one day, at my business conference in Drakensberg, all hell let loose.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. But it has done a lot of damage. The threats, the personal threats, the nasty comments, the people turning their backs on me, friends not wanting to be friends anymore, corporates not taking my calls, companies of mine that are profitable and successful looking for loans, radical Islamists attacking some of my other businesses, assuming I'm Jewish, which I'm not, but I obviously stand with Israel, and that's bad enough, et cetera, et cetera. And then my poor beloved partners in businesses saying, Rob, would you mind pretending you're not a shareholder because we got to deal with government?
Which is quite an insult, though. Well, I mean, if you think about it.
No, I feel for them. It's not their fault that I'm...
It makes sense. I mean, at the end of the day, for some, the bottom line is the most important thing. What I want to ask you with regards to that is, I remember, what year was that business conference? It was about
4 years ago.
4 years ago. So that was during the height of woke culture and,
COVID.
And COVID and everybody needing to be politically correct.
And it was weeks after the July unrest.
Oh, wow. So you were just like the petrol. But what I want to find out from you is, obviously you got a very positive response as well as a negative response, but you knew where the positive was coming from and where the negative was coming from. Considering the feedback now that you did that during the height of wokeness, looking back, do you think that we are in a better space now than what we were when you did that with business? Do you think that people are feeling more confident to speak about what you spoke about?
100%. And I'll give you one little example. Footsack ANC. So I was the first to say it publicly and broadcast it. And
I was the first to say fuck ANC, by the way.
which is a lot stronger. And what you see now is, look in the comments of a lot of podcasts, you see people typing in Footsack ANC or Footsack Cyril, and it makes me smile.
It's a hashtag.
I then click like on the comments instead of the other way around. People clicking like, it's become a hashtag. And more than that, people are getting the courage to say things they wouldn't have said 4, 5, 6 years ago. I remember being at Mining in Durban about 6 years ago when I said something outrageous like that about the ANC. And Bridget Radebe, who's from an aristocratic ANC background, Jeff Radebe, she said, you can't say that. That's a complete insult to South Africa. And I said, no, what the ANC is doing is an insult to South Africa.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is the truth.
Yeah.
But it was taboo. You couldn't say it then. Now everybody's saying it.
Yeah.
And Gate McKenzie said an interesting thing to me this weekend. He said, by the way, Rob, your impact's greater than you think, because even people within the ANC are starting to say things that you've been saying for a number of years, which means
well,
it's moving.
If you look at it, Senzo Mchunu is not coming out condemning the ANC, but I mean, we know why. I mean, he's under severe pressure. And we've got Naledi Pandor that is now suddenly woken up and saying, oh no, the ANC doesn't attract who they need to attract, ignoring all the corruption for the last 31 years.
That she's been involved in.
Exactly. But now she wants to stand on her Hamas pedestal, if you will. The last question that I've got for you is, who are you more upset with, the government or businesses that aren't speaking out? Because we know the legislation of broad-based black economic empowerment. Now, if businesses more than with 50 employees, they have to, over the next couple of years, start aligning and complying. Otherwise, they're going to get fined 10% of their turnover. Even if you don't do business with the government, which was previously the requirement to apply or comply with BEE. So are you more upset with the ANC government or the GNU now, or businesses and entities that aren't speaking out against this?
Businesses. Great question. You know, there's so much momentum now against the ANC. There's so much recognition of the damage the ANC has done in the last 10, 15 years to the country, even by people within the ANC. You know, Omri Magagole is an extraordinary guy and an ANC stalwart, says the ANC should be on the naughty step for the next 5 years to regenerate. He even thinks they should be out of power now. And he's ANC. So they're starting to have their own recognition of what's going on. I mean, the bad guys are going to keep trying to break and steal for as long as possible. But we know that's happening. But, you know, myself and a lot of other people have been saying, where's corporate South Africa? Why are they spineless? Why are they being such cowards? Why aren't they speaking up? Are they captured? Are they colluders? Or are they just cowards? They still aren't speaking up. So I'm getting more and more irritated by them.
Let me ask you why you think that is, because I'll give you my opinion. The reason, we all know that the ANC's got their backs against the wall right now. I mean, this is, you would argue that over the last 31 years, now is the time where it is actually acceptable to insult the ANC and get away with it. For me, I believe the reason that corporates aren't doing it is because the media is still in the pockets of government, and they don't want that arm of, you know, the media coming after them for saying things. Because other than that, I don't see why businesses won't stand up and say, we're not going to do it anymore. We're not going to comply. You need to consider us because we are the ones that fill your coffers.
So there are two types of businesses. The one type is a public company run by a employed corporate executive. So, you know, take Pick and Pay. Sean Summers is a gun for hire and a very good one. How easy is it for him to stand up and say something? Because he's representing Pick and Pay, and they've got PIC, they've got BEE, they've got DEI, you know, they've got unions, and he's a gun for hire. So, you know, yes, could he do more? Would be good, would be nice, but he's surrounded. He's got a job to do. He can be fired. The ones that are really in the spotlight are the ones that are founded by the person still running the company or owning the company. And they're the ones who should have the courage to speak up. Even if they've got PIC, DEI, BE in there, and unions, they should still have the courage to stand up and speak up, and they're not. And they're the ones, and you know who they are. It's pretty obvious. Just go down the list of the top 20 companies in South Africa that are still majority owned, controlled, or run by their founder.
Because at the end of the day, the consumer is the resident of South Africa, of their products. Now, what is more important to them? The person that is buying their products and keeping them in business, or the government that's doing everything in their power to destroy these companies?
But you know, on the media side, take News 24, okay? ANC bootlickers, or Cyril's ANC bootlickers, because they keep saying, but we attack Paul Meshatile all the time. Well, of course you do, because you work for Cyril. So
it makes sense.
All of their sponsors and advertisers are the big corporates. So the sponsors and advertisers should say to News 24, you need to be more balanced. You need to start attacking Cyril, or you need to at least just say what the Zondo Commission said. That's all we're asking. And they should do the same. The corporate should do the same.
And I know that I'm continuing this convo, but it's interesting. I think that ultimately what these businesses need to realize is that, especially with the media, is that they hold the power. They need to represent the people of South Africa, because ultimately the only thing that the ANC responds to is money. So if there is a real risk of losing the money, then they will act to it. And especially with the media too.
Corporates have the money? and taxpayers have the money.
Yes.
But for taxpayers to revolt, you need some form of organization that holds the money in escrow, where nobody is identifiable,
Yes.
like a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, where everyone sends in their tax money, but it doesn't go to the tax authorities, it goes to the DAO, and will only be released under certain conditions. So that's a tax revolt.
Yes.
Would be lovely. Or corporates saying, we collectively refuse to accept the following, won't do the following, won't implement the following, and they do collectively. But, you know, they're too scared to do it.
Exactly.
But you need a leader. Now, the leaders are Neil Froneman, Michelle Leroux, you know, but they're, you know, not going to do it on their own.
Ultimately, I think businesses want to keep themselves away from politics, but this is South Africa.
Yeah.
South Africa, politics is ingrained. Our celebrities are politicians.
You know that great lie? Business and politics don't mix.
It is a blatant lie.
It's a blatant lie. And the business people hide behind that. They also hide behind all these organizations, BLSA, and whatever these names are, white papers, private meetings. We 5 top business people met privately with Cyril. I mean, what do they do? Eat popcorn and laugh at us.
Exactly.
No, corporate community in South Africa have been dreadful when it comes to standing up for South Africans and standing up for what is right. They should be ashamed of themselves. And you know who you are.
With that being said, businesses, I think it's time that you join the fight of your everyday South African to stand up against the government and say enough is enough. Rob, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Renaldo.
And that is it for the Truth Report.